So today we're going to look at the basics of coordinate geometry. So we have coordinate axes. So we've got a vertical axis and a horizontal axis. So our horizontal axis is the x-axis and the vertical axis is the y-axis. So we're just going to mark off some points here. So we can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 on the positive part of the x-axis. And we go to the negative part of the x-axis, we've got -1, -2, -3, and so on. Now we're going to mark off some points on the y-axis. And the one thing to be aware of is you don't have to use the same scale on the x and y-axes. So we'll go up in 2s on the y-axis. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. So you just do need to be aware though that whatever you go up on the positive part of the axis, you must do the same thing on the negative part. So if we're going up in 2s, on positive we must do the same on the negative. So next we're going to look at an ordered pair, and an ordered pair is something of the form x, comma y. So we've got our x coordinate, comma our y coordinate. So if we look at some examples, we can look at the point 2, 6. We'll plot the point -1, 4. We'll plot -3, -6. And finally we'll plot 4, -8. So if we look at the first point, 2, 6, so we go out 2 on the x-axis and we go up to 6 on the y-axis. So this is our point here, 2, 6. And we see that we've got a positive x and a positive y. And this is true of all points in quadrant 1. So this quadrant 1 is the quadrant which is the positive part of the x-axis and the positive part of the y-axis. If we look at our next point, -1, 4, then we're in this part of the coordinate plane here, and we've got -1, 4. And we'll see that all points within this quadrant have a negative x component and a positive y component, and this is quadrant 2. And we'll see when we're naming the quadrants that we're going anti-clockwise. If we look at the next point, we've got -3, -6, so we go out to -3 on the x-axis and down to -6 on the y-axis. So here we've got -3, -6, and we'll see that in all points in quadrant 3 have a negative x, negative y. So this is quadrant 3. And finally we'll move over here to quadrant 4. So we've got 4, -8. So I'm just going to erase my numbering of the quadrant. And we've got 4, -8 here. So this is 4, -8. And we'll see that all points in this quadrant have a positive x and a negative y. So this is quadrant 4 here. So these are just some of the very basics of coordinate geometry. We'll look at some other things in future recordings.